We're gonna need.
Right. If I can get folks to take a chair, it looks like everybody's got a chair for the most part. We'll get this meeting started. Happy New Year, everybody. It's great to see we got a good crowd out tonight. I see more faces than I've seen at the last meetings, but I was very impressed with our holiday party and how many people came to that. So thank you, everybody that came. I'm going to try to get through our meeting notes fairly quick, our announcements, and we'll get right into the demonstration. Prior to the demonstration, Phil's got a safety minute, and we got a little video that Don Frank has prepared of how he was helping us round off some of the batons for the CNC that will be fun to watch. Want to welcome all of our members and any guests that might be out there. I see a few new faces. Tonight's agenda, we'll go through some club announcements. Anthony Harris is going to do a demonstration on turning an eccentric tree, which you see examples of over there. And we'll take a small refreshment break after the demonstration. That's a good time to hit Mike up for the dollar sweepstakes, which we have some new things on the table for change. The multimeter unfortunately is gone now, so I don't even want to mention it anymore, but we've got 3 rolls of different grits of sandpaper. It looks like, what's the spray product there in front of the sandpaper? Water-based lacquer finish. Okay. Okay, Balin has turned to Mohawk. We've got 4 nice tools. They don't go as a set. It'd be one of your selection there, as well as a nice 1-inch post tool rest, a echo device, and some K95 masks, which are always handy to have around. So nice opportunity to spend a couple dollars and maybe get something of value there. Our challenge for this month was to turn something emerging based on Brian Bertelli's November demo. And Brian, isn't it fun to see? Where's Brian? Isn't it fun to see a table full of things after you've done a demo? It looks like we got a lot of people to show. And then we'll follow that up. The challenge table we'll follow up with show and tell at the very end tonight. I'm going to get right into our announcements, which I tried to trim down because it's just January and they tend to grow as the year goes on. As of Monday's board meeting, we had 43 paid members for 2026. That number needs to go up, and I know there are a few stragglers
out there. It's at 55 now.
We're at 55 as of today. So in a week we've got.
It's almost 60 now.
Okay, so we're getting there. But if you happen to have yet to pay your 2026 dues, it is helpful to see as many of our members get in there early as possible, so that we kind of know where we're going to be standing. This past Sunday, 9 of our members gathered at the shop and finished turning. We finished turning 30 batons that Gary had CNC'd and got ready for us, and that should take us through our commitment for the Kansas Police Department. I want to thank all of you that helped with that. It's a great opportunity for our club, and it does take a little bit of time. So thank you. I think we got another coat of finish to put on, then we're going to laser engrave them, and they're ready to go. So this month's dollar sweepstakes winner, I think I've already said this, but we'll choose from several great prizes, including some very nice tools and a brand new tool rest. Get your tickets now. Don't miss your chance. Okay. This month's challenge drawing winner will win 2 $10 craft supply gift certificates. Want to know that everybody, on the back of your name tag, you should have an emergency contact label on the back. If you don't, see me and I'll get you a label to put on there. And it's just safety for us when we're in the shop. Are you looking at an opportunity to sell your items this coming year? Consider participating in one of the First Fridays events that will be starting in April. Like to see more spread of members taking that opportunity to get some of their products out there and talk to people. For those that weren't at the Christmas party, I did announce that there were over 530 toy trucks that were constructed at this year's Santa's Workshop. Each truck included a Kansas City Woodturners turn spinning top, and there were a lot of smiling kids that day. I don't think I saw any frowns, other than when the Grinch came up. There were a couple of them that were a little scared of him. We had about 60 participants at the December holiday party. Plenty of good food and lots of good conversation. If you were at the holiday party, raise your hand, because it was the members that show up at our club meetings are the ones that I saw there, and it was fun to see everybody. Thank you for joining us. Last on my announcements here would be, if you'd like your work featured on the KCWT Instagram and or Facebook social media pages, email photos and the description to Phil Sykes at philsykes@gmail.com. Phil does spell his name with 2 L's for some reason, so make sure you get 2 L's on his name. You can also tag or mention our account at KC Woodturners or invite us to be a collaborator on your post. Those of you that are social media savvy know what I just said, but basically Phil wrote that out for me. So if you have questions, reach out to Phil. Social media is a great exposure for our club, so take every opportunity you can. Now going on to open shop, I think everybody knows this, but our normal open shop days are Saturday morning at 8:30 and it's been eking past, but till 12 p.m. is our technical time, but usually people are here till 1 or so. And then Wednesday and Thursday evenings from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., except for the third Wednesday each month due to the guild meeting. And I have shown up a couple of those Wednesdays and said, why are there so many cars here? And then realized that we didn't have open shop that day. And in regards to open shop, please help keep it clean, wear your badge, sign in when you're there. If you don't realize it, there's a doorbell on the back door. If you happen to show up and the front door is locked and you know we got an open shop, go back and ring the back doorbell. Somebody will come out of the shop and let you in. We don't like to leave the door up here unlocked when we're back in the shop. Please report any equipment problems to the board. I do know that we've got some issues with the bandsaw right now, so it's going to be down for a little bit while we get that taken care of. And then watch for an email regarding our next shop cleanup, because we're going to be needing to get that one pretty soon. Just for those that don't realize who the officers are, our slate of officers for 2026 is the same slate we had last year. I will be president this year. Our vice president will be Mike Thomas again. Our treasurer will be Kevin Neely. And our secretary will be Elizabeth and Calvin Wright. So that is our elected officers. And I don't know why I said, are there any nominations from the floor? I think I forgot to cut that out. And then there are also several of our members that are at-large board members that attend all of our board meetings. Sue Bergstrom, Anthony Harris, Ed Jasic, Bill Paulo, and Ann Molina teams us in from Texas and joins us and gives us insights and offers ideas and such. And everybody knows that Dan and Linda Carlson here is our refreshments providers, and we certainly appreciate that because we all like to have refreshments. And Phil Sykes has been our safety guy ever since Effie left and done a great job of that. And you don't see him very much, but back there in the window back there is Rob Platt, and Rob does an excellent job of keeping the audio visual going and trying to keep me on pace with what needs to happen. Finally, I just want to recognize Brian Bartelli, who was our demonstrator last week, is doing our Wood Chips newsletter. So thank you to everybody for their participation with the club there. I printed off two-sided and I can't remember which way to flip, sorry. The board would like to encourage more at-large members. So if you'd like to be an at-large member on the board, just show up at our Monday meetings there. The first Monday of every month at 7 p.m. We gather around the table back in the wood shop, and new members bring in new ideas, new thoughts, and it's nice to have as much participation in back there as possible. The board meets on the first Monday of each month at 7 p.m. Come join us. Upcoming events. If you use the shop, watch for an announcement about the next shop cleanup date that'll be coming. February demonstration will be Curtis Cowman. He's going to talk about some innovative utilization of common tools in wood turning. So that'll be interesting.
Is that what you're gonna do?
And that gets me to the point in the meeting where we're going to have Phil come up here and give us a quick safety minute. And then we'll, Rob, after Phil's safety minute, we're going to run that demo from Dawn.
Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. I have the safety minute tonight, and then I believe Don has the anti-safety minute. So we're going to go through the safety minute first.
A rebuttal?
What?
A rebuttal?
A rebuttal. It's not the same topic, so I guess technically it's not a rebuttal.
Okay.
But I brought a couple photos, and what I wanted to talk tonight about is loose articles of clothing. It's wintertime. It's cold in the shop. Depending on where your shop is, it might be very cold. And so we all tend to wear layers or long sleeves. And I had a friend of mine who accidentally wore a sweater that was a little bit too loose, and it got caught in a jointer, which is not a lathe, but jointers are not fun. If anybody knows or knows anyone who's had a jointer accident, they're usually missing some digits. She did not. She only ripped up her sweater, which was very nice. But at the lathe, it can happen too. If anybody's familiar with a guy named Keith Gotcho from Colorado, anybody know who he is?
No.
He's on Instagram, Facebook. He does videos. He's been a woodturner for decades. He got sucked into his lathe a couple months ago because he was overhanging his hand to steady a small spindle, and his sleeve got caught, and it pulled him right into his headstock, which is something that is, it can happen. Even if you're using good technique or kind of doing the right thing, sometimes accidents can happen. So here's Keith. He's demonstrating how he kind of does this spindle technique right here on that side. And then you can see the giant hole in his sleeve and the other tears from the sleeve of his material there. It's kind of a flimsy material. So the thing that he would encourage you to do is wear a stiff material and not something that's flimsy and loose, but a stiff, tighter material, so that even if it does brush up against the spindle, it's not going to wrap around and get stuck. So I think Craft Supply sent him a brand new, stiffer material smock that he can wear, and he's been pretty happy with that. But that's my safety minute. Please, it's winter. Be careful. There's the sweater right there. You can see in the jointer. Jointers are not fun, but I'm glad that my friend Megan only lost her sweater. And that's repairable, so that's not too bad. But it is hard to repair things that come off of your body. It's an expensive trip to the ER. So that's all I have.
There have been people that have been killed by that.
Yeah, it can happen. Chris was saying that people have been pulled into the lathe and hit their head or have died actually from various impacts from getting pulled into a lathe.
By their hair.
By their hair as well. So if you have long hair, two women, guys as well, if you have long hair, long beards as well. Yeah, I'm not joking, but keep it clear. Those are all things. Jewelry, of course, is another aspect too. Even if you wear, something sentimental to you, it is best to take it off. If you're here in the shop, you've got your dangly little badge. It is actually best to put that somewhere where it's not going to overhang the lathe, although this will generally pull off. So there's all sorts of other things. When you get up to the lathe there, check yourself out. Make sure you're not wearing anything that's going to be too loose or could potentially get pulled in to the spindle of your piece as you're working it. And related to that,
Wedding ring.
Wedding ring.
You hooked on the chuck. You lose rip it right off.
So if you have a metal wedding ring, and I actually forgot about that. I used to not wear a metal wedding ring for that specific purpose. You can get those rubbery silicone ones that will at least potentially rip. or just take it off, have a special pocket you put in so that you're not risking getting it too close, because that is something where it will get caught in the chuck and pull your hand right into it. Yeah. Any other things that can get caught in a lathe? And I mean, anything could, you know, especially if we go back to the previous slide, you can see me getting sucked into a metal lathe. That is a photo, right, of me getting sucked in the metal lathe, right? Yeah, there's the one. Yeah, that's a very detailed photo of me.
Oh, it's so realistic.
It is. Well, I mean, because it's not AI, Kevin. It's real.
I understand.
Yeah. Those are my jammies. Those are my ninja jammies. All right, I think Don's got something to share, and we'll go from there. Thanks.
I thought you guys might enjoy this. As you know, we're doing the baton project, and Gary is turning them on a CNC. And I didn't realize it till yesterday, but we spend, or it takes him 10 minutes just to take a square stock and turn it round before the CNC starts actually forming the baton. So that's a pretty big piece of time. And so back when I thought we were going to be doing all these by hand, I made a jig. Go ahead and play that, Rob. I made a jig in order to speed the process up a little bit, and it's a little unconventional, but it works really well. I did 38 of these, I think, today, and they 2 minutes a piece from start to finish, including putting them on the lathe.
If you're doing them on the lathe, we were doing some of those down, it's at least 15, 20 minutes to get those corners knocked out. Fast process here.
And as Phil said, this is maybe the anti-safety minute, but it's not as scary as you might think, or as unsafe as you might think, but it certainly looks that way. My shop teacher would not have approved.
It looks scary already.
But this is going in real time. This video's 2 minutes and 3 seconds total time, including messing around. So I had a little wood block under the back end, just because my clearance is a little tight there on these. If these were an inch shorter, I wouldn't have to do that. And I just dropped the circular saw in, and there's a guide on the aluminum guide on the back side that you can't see. So I'm just running down the fence basically, and I have a place marked on there on where it stops. And so the blade is just set so that it will leave just a little bit on the meat left on it.
Now, early on, did you have a problem with before you put that mark on there?
I don't have any scars on the lathe, but I did have some oh crap moments in designing this early on, but it got better with time. Anyway, I thought you guys might enjoy that.
I'll just say one thing in addition to Don right there. Safety can be relative to whoever is actually doing the work. If you're using a process that you've worked out to be a safe process and you're skilled to do that, that's different than, say, someone seeing you do it and then trying to do it themselves, but doesn't have the safety process and skill intact. So if you see something like this, say on YouTube, don't do it until or unless you've worked out the process. If you see something that you think, oh, I could do that, but you really don't understand it, get some help or some assistance before you do it so that you are confident and safe when you're doing something that is probably questionable, but certainly works and can be done safely by a good technician. So thanks, Don.
All right, thank you both for those inspiring moments. Let's get together. It's been a while since we've seen Anthony demonstrate for us, so let's get together and give him a hand, and he's going to do a demo on eccentric trees.
I don't know if that's good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Is this good? 1, 2, 3. What does that mean?
I'll find out if the Zoomers can hear you.
How's that? Oh. How's that? I cook it on my nose. It's not turned on, maybe. Is this okay? Okay, that's good then. Lake tree, these are the trees. The method I'm going to use is the same one is the first one I ever did. I'm just going to turn a round tenon, kind of shaped like a donut, on the end of the piece of wood and use it, and within the chuck, tilt it in order to create the eccentricity. It's the same way I made these. The alternative to that is the way these were made. These are, instead of one place anchored, being moved like this is placed, and you turn it on a different axis like this, and so you make your different cuts that way. This is made the same way as these. There were 4 tenons turned on the back, one for the middle, one behind each one of these little bowls. And the tenons cut through each other, right? So they were, I don't know what word to use for that. They were not contiguous. They weren't single circles. They each had cuts through them of the previous tenon. And so this is turned on the set of axes the same way. This is a failed pipe. It failed because nature put some things in it that aren't conducive to pipe smoking or tobacco smoking. But this is turned on 3 or 4 axes, and it's well, it's enough. We'll talk about them later if we have time. Okay, so I brought 2 pieces of wood. It's what you do when you do demos. You bring more than you need. This is to catch my tools when they fall, and they almost certainly will. In my shop, I have clay. I don't know what it's called, 2.5 feet square or 2 foot square pieces of foam that look like a jigsaw puzzle and linked together. And then they have another foot or 2 of shavings on top. And so my tools not only are not damaged. Try this. Okay. Thank you. It's not on yet.
Play with your ears a little bit.
Okay. Like this. Give it a try. Does it work? Oh, you can hear it? Yeah. Okay. Actually, I put it over there to use up the cord. Okay, we'll go. So this is poplar. It's a little bit shorter than the ones I made over there, and I may actually terminate. I intend to finish in an hour, and so it's not good. Okay, here we go. So I intend on finishing in an hour. Let's see how it works. Anytime you put something on here, particularly when you're doing eccentric turning where things stick out further than normal, you have to hand turn it to make sure it doesn't hit something.
You've heard me say before that speed is your friend. Hell, it isn't, right? Well, interrupted surfaces are very useful for, it's very useful to have things move fast. What I'm going to do is prepare something to fit in the chuck. I'm using a stem center in the headstock. I do that because it doesn't use up much of the wood, and I've mostly turned this without waste. I'm making my tenon a little longer than I normally would. I want to keep the chuck jaw mostly closed. No, here we go. No. There we go. See, it's not much of a gap here. And so that keeps my little tenon as circular, ball-like as possible. Okay, we're there. I'm not putting a flat shoulder against the chuck jaw. So I've gotten that out of my way. And that's that. Can we see that one from above? No. I don't know if this defeats my purpose or not. You can't see it from above. Okay. I don't know where to go. There we go. And so it's just shaped like a donut or a bagel. We don't know. There we go. We're not going to use the center anymore. I do have a set of tower jaws that I used to do this in the last 3 weeks. I'd never used one before, but because most people don't have it, tower jaws, I'm just using normal jaws. Oh, I see. I see. This is a shorter piece of wood. That's why I'm concerned with why this is sticking out so far. Or is anybody here concerned? No. I made this an inch shorter, I think. Not a lot. Yes, you always start from the furthest from your attachment. Would someone get me, you know, that green short tool rest that comes from Woodcraft? I'm just getting this out of the way. All of this is waste. So I'm going to start at the top, create the top of the tree first. This entire thing is made of coves and beads. There's nothing else here. That's half a cove right there. I have the tail center cutting into the piece of wood, and so it ruins the last 3/16 of an inch or so. That right? 3/16? 4/16? No, probably 3/8 of the spindle. I also debated for quite a while whether I wanted, how sharp I wanted this to be on the end. And so decided that I would round them off so nobody could poke themselves or something. So here's the center. That would work. That'll work. Okay. It'll be used now. What? Okay, so here's the center, and what I'm going to do is draw a line. I'm actually going to use that. I'm comfortable with it. I have one at home just like it. Oh, no. That one's got the finger cutter on it. The other one's painted green. I have a chuck. It'll work. I put a pencil line here, and it is down the center line of the lathe. Okay, it doesn't matter where the chuck is, it's just down the center when that's at the lowest point. I lied. I want to do it here. And the reason I want to do it there is because the two slides are evenly are going to be right. As I move this, I'm going into this space out here. I'm going to show it to you. I'm loosening it, and I'm going to move this down. Okay, so can you see that it, no, you can't see, there you go. You can see that it revolves around the center. It's offset now. I'm sorry? That looks like 3/16, maybe almost a quarter. Further off you go, the more your tree bends at the top. What I've also, and I've moved this, right? So a different part of it used to spin freely, but now a different part of this is going to be at risk for hitting the rest.
You want to sand right before you made that move. You wanted to sand it.
Sand it? Oh, no, we're not sanding it. That's part of the attraction of this. I don't have to sand them. Okay.
Something that needed sanding. Want to sand.
Yes,
right?
you must sand now. You're never coming back. You can't come back. This is just getting waste out of the way. Smaller pieces of wood, I use a small Vicmark chuck I have. Dovetail jaws, I'm much less excited about the solidity of the grip. I like the one way. Okay, this is an unsupported entry, right? And so you have to be careful about the catch. There are a couple of extra problems with this particular cut, that you're entering it on a slant, which makes it easier for the tool to skate. It's also an interrupted surface, which makes it easier for the tool to skate. And so I use this fairly stable fulcrum. I'm going approximately 0.6 of an inch. I actually measured it early on, how tall I'm making these. This is the same motion if you look at it. This motion, they're the same. Pivot the tool. Okay, here's the first bead. This is the cove. This is a 1/2 inch spindle gouge, what I use for, not all certainly, but the vast majority of my spindle turning. It's not so bad here, but later, as the levels become wider and wider, you have to reach further and further down in, and smaller tools become necessary. This is a 3/8. Parting tool. I'm not using it as a scraper. I'm putting it on top of the wood and using the bevel on the bottom. It's not so important now, but later, again, as you get deeper, it's much more difficult to cut the bottom of this. And right now I could use a gouge, but eventually I'm going to have to use a skew, and so I just do it from the start. I'm using the toe rather than the heel. I'm not a real good spool or skew handling person, but I'm getting better at it. Because I'm not going to sand it, I wish to avoid leaving too many tool marks. And so that's the first valve. And I don't know what you can see. Show us from the top. The top view. He had it just a minute ago. Ah, there it is. Yes.
That's a good view.
Yes. It's absolutely, well, not always, but mostly. Okay. And so remember, I have this mark here. That's the center here. And this points towards the end of my tree. And what I'm going to do is loosen it. You can't see this, can't hear it. Let's do it this way. And I'm going to drop the center. All right. I don't have this on mine. I don't think I put it on. It interferes with the,
Can we slide that tailstock this way?
No.
Get it away from.
no, I use it as a center. It points to center. I know. It's just, thank you.
Good try though.
Okay, so the distance, you move this out off center, it propagates. How regular you make things. Now, this is your chance to shine here. Okay. Each one of these gets repeated, and the farther off you go, it creates effects. And so you have to decide if you're going to be real careful to start with and do them even, and then change them intentionally to create an effect. And so that's what I'm watching for here. I made 50 or 100 of these in the last 6 weeks. And I spent a lot of time looking at these distances. And so I did everything with 7-inch, and this is 5.5 or 6 or something, and it feels quite different. Oh, I already did it. Never mind. Okay. Here we go. You guys don't get out of the way when I do that? You notice, I mean, I do it without thinking too much. First time I turn on a lathe after moving something, I don't be in the way. I know. Say it. Insurance, yeah. Makes me happy. That person who got into the joiner, did they have insurance?
I also.
I'm actually defining 3 dimensions. This is the thickness of the next bow, the diameter of the next bow. I'm going to create the length of the distance between the 2 next bows, and then I'm going to create the thickness of the trunk. And these don't have to be final, they're ballparks, but they now, having done all 3 of them, I know what parameters I have to operate within. It speeds things up a little. If I haven't done it, it just leaves too many questions. One of the other things about this process, this eccentric turning, I wasn't always clear about what was going to happen when I started doing it. And so you stop the lathe and you look. This is already too small, huh? This is, okay, tough. No, okay, there we go. I have a tendency to leave the top one a greater diameter than I want it to. You can't turn eccentric stuff too much unless you have a chuck from Hades without using your bevel. One of the advantages of the bevel is you don't have to do anything fat. This process is just repeated. Coes and beads. You can a little bit. But you should probably try not to. I see. It's just ugly. I have to do it again. Everybody knows about the second and third law of wood turning, right? And the associated disease. One more cut. Yeah, that's better.
Cut at the bottom one.
Right. It's the diameter of the top bow and then the space between them. God, that just really bugs me. There we go. Let's try that. Okay. I like it. Get some of the extra out of the way. If I move this without turning it off, it's just habit, okay? And so you have to decide for yourself if you want to try it. It's not because I don't love you. Take my time, create the curve I want. You're on a bevel, you can sit forever. Take your time, literally. Take your time, make exactly the curve you want. Cut it carefully and slow so you don't have to desire to go back and sand. It may not be clear, but this tool does not go in straight. I turn it on its side and it acts as a skew, and it tapers the end of the neck. I'm going to have to see. Let's see if I can adjust and not have that problem. Okay. If you think about it now, you move this a certain number of degrees, that turns into a much greater distance out here than it does here. And so if you want a fairly consistent curve, you have to turn it further. I'm sorry? This is, no. No, I'm sorry. Am I cleaning it up with my paint can? No. Skew. Oh, is that what? I got it. I thought that was a screwdriver. No, I have become more friendly with a skew. I mean, for a long, long time, I didn't use it much at all, except as a scraper. But maybe in the last 2 years, started to use it more. When I have knocked this loose, that cut is when I do it. When I hit the end of it and I'm going into the end grain and I've got it and it's gotten too thick, that's the easiest place for me to do it. I don't knock it off very much otherwise. Now, see, I'm looking at these, the diameter of these three, and there isn't much difference. There's a little, it's growing. And so I don't want to splurge all of a sudden on this one. It has to be cut down some more. I can tell by stopping and looking and checking. When you see it as a shadow, you can't really tell how big it is. Another place where when I first started making them, I had difficulty with was getting a large tool trapped down there in the space that's too small. And that's why I turned to these smaller tools. When I first started turning this stuff, the eccentric work, it took me a while to understand what happened when I moved things out of line. It wasn't always what I expected. And so I stopped a lot to see what had happened. I reached the point where, at least with the types of thing I turn, I kind of understand what's going to happen. If I moved on to a new piece, a new topic, I would probably stop again. You use the toe of the skew, that's the pointy part, rather than the heel. You have to be able to see what's happening. The toe is a little more volatile. A mistake hurts you more. But being able to see, well, I have to. Maybe some people don't. One more cut, I think. Take your time, get around the corner, get your body out of the way. I like that better. So do we want to run this down straight, or we're going to put a kink in it? What do you think we ought to do here? Put a kink in it. Okay. We're playing kinky today. Say it again. No. I have done that. Oh, that was the one I brought over. I lost it. I was going to give that to Jerry Darter, I thought, but now I can't. I lost it. Now, when I did it early on, they were accidents, but now I can actually do it on purpose. Oh, there it is. This is where you're going the opposite direction, like you talk about. And I have begun doing it on most of them. The bottom two tiers, I bring it back under and it tucks it, and it gives you more of that kind of an effect. I like it. Say it again.
I think you're missing your calling.
Is that right?
Yeah, that could be somebody's fine for some backup. Some issues and then you're touch this and then that's fine.
Ah. Oh, I see. It's not even engaged. That's why it was turning so easy. There you go. Okay. And so can you see how it spins differently here? It's not pointed this way anymore. I've brought it, I don't bend right here, but I've brought it further back, and it's going to create this effect. Okay. This part of the process doesn't change. Coves and beads. Oh, it's interesting. Okay, we'll leave it big. Leave this next set of bows big. It emphasizes that change. You could put more or less space between the two bows. That's another way to change things up. Radically changing the diameters is slightly, I don't know how to say, yanakoto. It's not fun. I don't like to do it because it's what happens when you make mistakes. You have to repair them and your next bow is smaller. And so you don't want to do anything that looks like you made a mistake. Yeah. Okay. This tool, I don't think I ever actually used it before I started turning this tree. One of Bob's old tools, you know that, the orange tape, that was his. Okay. And I'm going to do it again. Put that, go the wrong direction. Right. Look at that. I haven't missed once. Moving the rest without turning it off. It's getting in my way right here. You got to be careful. Remember the second law, you can't take off, you can't put back what you take off, but I can get some of it out of my way. Quick and easy to do. Scraping, using that tool as a scraper in this place, it's a very rough operation. It bounces more than I want it to. Or risks bouncing, maybe is a better word. Just a little tiny thingy in there I left, a little ridge. Okay. So you can start to see the kink. You can see it, I've just placed it sideways as well. Poplar. We use it all the time because it's real easy to find and it's popular. Okay, let's go back. The idea was floated that I might, no, never mind, never mind. There we go. Okay. In order to emphasize this change, I also emphasized how far I moved it this time. I'm going back to this curve, and I made it a little more drastic than I would to keep everything regular. Keep things regular, it's got the same curve in it, right? Well, I enhanced the kink, I hope, by going a little, by exaggerating it. There we go. Well, let's have a look. See what we've achieved here. In my opinion, making the cut I'm getting ready to make on the chuck side rather than the cut I need to make subsequently on that side, in other words, weakening the attachment, seems a little counterintuitive to me, but you risk getting inside there still too closed with too much stuff in there. And so I get it out of the way. Clear the space for the next cut. So I make it skew. You always cut the point furthest from the attachment, if you can. There's the attachment, and that's the point furthest. And so cutting the inside of this, sorry, maybe it's not important. Okay.
At what point does the band become the safety?
I've never had it happen yet. And I agree that that's a question. Think about what these are like towards the end. I don't know. Oh, I need to see here. There you go. So there's how far, let's do it this direction. It'll look niftier. That's how far it's out. And I've never had any trouble. I've used ash, hackberry, buckthorn, I don't know. Oh, what's the wood I got from your house? Hornbeam, that's right. And poplar. And I've noticed nothing. Yeah, I even did one, this one, where, can you see it right here? Maybe not. Okay, you can see it. It's bark, broken dead branch, all together. It's only probably a third of that. 3/16. Maybe that's a whole 1/4 inch, 5/16 diameter. 3/4 of it or 2/3 of it is not there, not attached.
Have you tried turning one of these green elm?
No.
To see if
To add to the effect, yeah.
That's your challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
Anthony, on the parting tool, when you turn the parting tool at an angle in order to catch that corner, is that for defining that very bottom
That joint?
joint down?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's also, that part of it is tapered.
Okay.
And so that's part of why you turn it. You can't use a flat face tool straight in and create a taper. Well.
So on the bows, each one of those, have you made it concave on the top?
I did some of that before I turned eccentrically. I've not done it since. Pardon me, I know I'm supposed to repeat the question. Have I ever dished the top of the bow? And the answer is yes, but I haven't done it with eccentric work. Well, with these, yeah. I was going to write things on the bottom of this when it was done. But I took my special signing pen into my pocket and then decided, well, that shirt's kind of dirty. I'm going to wear a different one. And so I no longer have that signing pen. And I almost never name my stuff. You know, people say this is Cosmic Consciousness 3 or something. I don't know how to do that. And while I have named a few, I decided to do it with these. And I started out calling it Kaze ni Tatsuki. That means a tree standing in the wind. And I wrote it that way on the bottom. And I started thinking, well, you know, I really wish I had something that was more interesting than that. And so there is a poetic phrase that you frequently find in Japanese waka and haiku called shofu, which is literally the sound of the wind in a pine tree. And that's what I write now. And so I do that and then sign my name in Japanese just for fun. And so you can date some of these. The originals were Kaze ni Tatsuki, and they became shofu, which is what the poetic phrase is. Well, you see how deep I'm getting now, right? And it's much less comfortable. Trying to stick a large tool down there, I think is a recipe for disaster. This, I couldn't touch the bottom of this with a gouge at all. Take your time, all the way around that curve, get to the bottom, as long as you're on a bevel. Life smiles.
Would you consider using a detailed gouge?
Use a who?
A detailed gouge, something smaller with a little bit different angle.
A different angle?
Right?
Oh,
They're a little bit smaller than that.
a detail gouge smaller than this?
Yeah, they're
Quarter inch. I've never used a tool this small before.
3/16, I think.
This is a
detailed gouge.
stretch for me.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I don't like detail gouges. I have not used them much. And so to say that's important that I don't like them is not necessarily important. It's not important, but it's, yeah, this is not important. And I don't like them because they use up a lot of metal and space and give you a smaller functional area. I have one. Someone gave me or sold me or something, a Glazer 3/16 inch detail spindle gouge.
Those are nice.
What?
Those are nice.
Okay. You got any cash?
That particular one.
You got any cash?
Not after I bought that thing.
No, it's blue.
Yeah.
I would not turn loose of any of them that were black. Yeah, yeah. Well, no, they don't leave my hands. I have 4 of them, I think, that are black. I have some spindle gouges I really like that are red. Uh-oh. Looks like a little piece of wood there is separating at a ring. Is anybody particularly scared? Ooh. No, I was actually referring to the people here. Grip is a little less certain. So am I going to get 2 more bows out of this?
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, all of those pictures were taken with the 3/8. People are going to think you're partial. The skew here, when I started to learn to use the skew. Isn't there a movie about that? Dr. Strangelove? Yeah, I heard that one.
That's what I was talking
What?
about. Saying of the skew.
Yeah, well,
I
Dr.
saw that.
Strangelove learned to love the skew. Yeah. This is my favorite skew. Round piece of metal. You can use literally the entire cutting edge. You know, a normal skew, the last third or so you can use. But okay, I'm gonna cut that a little more just for the fun of it. Can't afford a catch when you're when you go back. You've already made it thin. Okay, we're going to try for one more bow and see what happens. What's the worst that could happen? What?
It's safe back here. Yeah, it's like being in a hospital. It'd have to be a really good cat to get hit. Cut that. Look at it.
Maybe. Probably only 3 1/4. If it were a big one, though, it would go further. And I'm being a little extravagant underneath here, below that kink, because it put me back in line a little bit. And so I'm just capitalizing on that effect. Okay. One of the other things that's interesting is I really wasn't certain what would stand. What would, you know, you put it down on the ground on a shelf, what's going to stand with how far out you've gone, right? Is it going to fall over? I have bowls. I made some bowls with small bases, and they're natural edge, and so they would tip over. Put a little chamfer on the bottom. I normally don't have this much weight. Won't stand yet. I have to do things to the bottom of it. Now, originally, I was dishing all of these, and then I would use my little orbital sander to sand the inside, sand the dish. But I've reached the point where I kind of chickened out. Remember when we were kids, we used to, in shop, all of the bottoms of our bowls were flat. And so this is how apparently we did it. So.
It stands.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the choices you get to make. or things that were interesting. What you're doing is just fine. I'm going to put them right there. Okay. So there's a Chinese tree of heaven. Is that what we called it? I found this, I had this stuff growing in my backyard, and there's a whole little patch of it, 300, 400, 500 square feet of it, and it just grows, and you can cut it down with a grass whip in the first year. I had some that grew 4 or 5 years. I left it, and that's what this was. I didn't know what I didn't even know it was a tree. It just grew funny. But when you get to the pith, there's nobody home. You can actually dig it with your fingernail. And so as I'm cutting down this circle, you might be able to see the pith becoming more and more incorporated, and it hit the center and it just fell off. So that was kind of exciting. Say it. Tree of heaven?
It's a real tree. That's what it's called.
Yeah, it's bad tree.
It takes over areas like bamboo.
Okay, so here's an extreme example of bringing the base back in. And part of the reason I did it was I wanted to inhibit the tendency it might have to fall over. And so I can bring it back in. I don't know if that makes it natural looking or not. This is a more subtle. You see it? Yeah. Change in direction there. This I consider a little bit of a failure. If you look at it, you can see that I have this rhythm going on sizes, and then all of a sudden I've increased it. And again, it's my little brother told me, he taught me when he came back from Colorado, it was in 1980. He took me out playing pool, and we bet quarters or whatever against the people who would come. And I made a shot. It wasn't what I intended, but I made a shot, and I was kind of happy about it. And he looked at me and says, "You don't count slop." And so that is slop. It's an accident. Now, sometimes there are happy accidents, and you later capitalize on it. There we go. That's bringing it back in. I've started doing it half the time, maybe. I like it. The other thing that can happen is you can be cutting along. This doesn't have the problem, but you can be cutting along and you hit the sides, the limits of your wood when you're still here, and then you can't increase the size anymore. In fact, if you continue the curve, you're now going further away from the maximum diameter, and so your piece will actually get smaller. And so that's something you have to practice at. I had to practice at. I don't know what else there is to say. Are there questions?
So your tent that you made, kind of like a donut.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, that's that you can turn.
Yes.
But you're limited by the depth of your jaws.
Yes.
If you had a deep set of jaws, like a 2-inch.
Yes.
I assume
I can talk.
Turn a ball and get it weighed.
Right. When I started out, this is 25 years ago, when I started out trying to turn something eccentrically, this is the way I did it. It's just, how do you do it? I had no idea, and I just gave it a try and see what would happen. 6 months ago, I purchased some jaws like that. And I actually started using them about 3 weeks or a month ago. I used them for about 2 weeks and put them away. These are short enough, and they go far enough out that I don't really need that depth. Now, this one maxed it out, and it maxed it out probably because I made the tenon quite tall. As long as you round the top and bottom of it, don't get the shoulder in the way, you can go a long ways on a normal set of jaws. And I considered bringing that, but I didn't bring it specifically because we had the normal chuck jaws here. And I wanted to show that anybody could do this. You didn't have to buy extra tools. More?
Your initial block, you started with making live, what size is the
I've been using 7-inch long pieces. That was 6 or maybe 5 3/4 inches long. The shape of the piece of wood is arbitrary. The majority of what pieces I've used were like what I got from your place, and they are 4 inches in diameter, trunk or limb. His were trunks. The ash, 3-4 years ago, I stuck, I'm lost here. There we go. It doesn't matter. There we go. Okay. I had some pieces of ash that were that big around 3 or 4 years ago. I cut them and tossed them in the garage and picked them up 2 months ago and split them into 4 sections down the center. And that's what I turn. I don't do anything else to them, right? I don't cut the bark off or round them or anything. And so all you want to do is put your tenon in the chuck and go to the furthest point you can, regardless of what shape or look or the piece. Now also, I want to say almost all of what I've turned has been dry wood. The hornbeam is a little damp, and I also turned 3 of them out of hackberry that was fairly wet. They're in a bag, and I don't know how they turned out. We'll see. Okay, that's good. I got no more. Ooh.
Let's take about 10 minutes, have some refreshments, do a little visiting. Anthony will be around if you have any questions for any of this. Come up and take a look at the different community treatment and that there. And we'll reconvene with the challenge.